Well, we are on part 3 of the AI dilemma in the church. This is so interesting, right? I mean, whoever thought, as we're seeing prophecy fulfilled in such an amazing way, when we see these things happening, we're told to look up because our redemption is nigh. Our Lord, our King, Jesus, is coming back for his church. And in this AI, artificial intelligence dilemma in the church, I've been talking specifically about 3 key components that we're told in the book of Revelation about we need to really focus on. So as you're hearing all this, remember that I'm talking about we need patient endurance. So just we're listening, we're just taking all this in patiently, we're enduring. And also we need to have faithfulness through the things that are to come, to be faithful to the Lord. And the last is we need wisdom, and God is full of wisdom. His Spirit is wisdom itself. And I want to encourage you just to always soak as we're going through this series on those 3 specific things that the Word of God tells us, Jesus tells us through Revelation about what we need during these particular days. Well, we're hearing about robots and artificial intelligence, and robots go together because you think about a brain and a human body. Well, artificial intelligence is like the brain in a robot, telling it what to do. And so we're hearing OpenAI, the leader, the founder, Sam Altman, and we're also hearing Elon Musk. We're hearing Brett King talk about the good things that AI does, but also an existential warning that there's an absolute that this thing could actually destroy us. I think that Brett King goes a little bit further and says it can kill us. Elon Musk came out in so many words and said in so many different ways, except for the words "it can kill you." He just said it could destroy humanity as we know it. It can kill you. So we need to pay attention. So we had a whole bunch of people telling us for years, don't worry about artificial intelligence, don't worry about robots. They're going to submit to you. They're going to yield to you. There's not going to be any problems. They're going to be there to be able to help you out. As a matter of fact, we heard even Elon Musk in part 2, I believe it was, talking about as he launched Optimus, his robots for Tesla, and that he's going to move AI from the cars, the Tesla cars, into the Optimus robots, and they're going to be helping you out every day, and you might want 2 robots to help you out. Well, take a look at this and kind of get an idea as they're talking about AI is wonderful. AI robots is wonderful. They're going to help you out, but it could go seriously wrong. Take a look.
Right on in.
So what are they saying when they say this can go terribly wrong? It can destroy mankind. It can take over. We're going to find out that we're hearing exactly that as we hear Elon Musk talk to Tucker Carlson, and he's saying it can definitely do these things. And that's kind of a parody of a reality of what we're seeing and the warnings that are coming from those people who lead this industry. So first I want to start off with the Lord speaking to me in a dream, a prophetic dream. He spoke to me to understand the timing of this dream is important, that it was September the 25th, 2019. So, and to let you know too, I'm not a science fiction movie watching person. I don't watch all these things like this. It doesn't do anything for me. But I do listen to people who tell me about them quite often. And so I'm not inundated with these kind of ideas and thoughts. This is the Lord speaking to me in this prophetic dream about what we're facing. And in this dream, I had to be at work at 3 p.m., say 3 p.m. And I needed to get something to eat. And so I was trying to get me something to eat. I knew I needed to get some protein, because I needed something that was going to give me some energy over an extended period of time that it would last. And all I could find was just junk food and different things that are kind of all over the place. And I started browsing a store bakery. Those displays that are like glass display that you can look down inside of it. And I'm kind of looking down inside of the display, and I'm trying to find some different. There's some breads in there, some. I thought, man, there's a lot of carbs that are going on there. It's had all this kind of trainers would talk to you about that and other people. And just not good things for long-lasting energy. Then I looked again, and I found some bread with some nuts in it. And it was nut bread, and I decided, hey, that's got some nuts in it. That'll give me some protein. That'll work. And I had about 30 minutes left to be able to get to work. And I was standing there looking in this display counter during this time in front of it. And I started to make an order. As I'm going to make this order, I'm looking, there's nobody there. There's nobody behind the counter. I'm like, time is pressing. I need to be able to get there. And all of a sudden, a person came up like I am a customer. They came up as a customer, and they're standing there like I'm standing there. They're looking into the display, probably trying to get them something to eat as well. But as I'm still waiting for the person to show up, an AI robot came up and squoze its way in between me and this other person. And guess what? This particular robot, this AI robot, looked almost identical to the person that was the human being that was looking in there. Look at these. They have robots today that look just like humans, and this looks like a particular human on the earth. And you can see, and then this dream, as I was looking, I'm thinking like, this person, that's their robot. This person that squoze me, and it literally like squeezing me out of the marketplace, pushing me to the side to the left. And the person was oblivious. The human being was oblivious to what their artificial intelligent robot, their AI robot, was doing. And it says, I think, why would this AI look exactly like the person? But we're told in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 5, it says, in the last days, people will be lovers of themselves rather than lovers of God. The thing about artificial intelligence, it's about you. It's designed to what you like and what you think and what you want. And that's exactly what was going on with this robot. It would look just like this person, and it looked just like it defended them and did these different things for them. And so it basically, the AI was themselves. That was them. The interesting thing I thought was that, you have to remember this is 2019, that it looked just like the person, but it didn't look necessarily exactly like it, but it had the characteristics, and you knew it was them. But the person at the counter didn't even pay attention to what this robot, it literally squoze in between us, and it didn't mess with the owner, but it literally was pushing me as it's squeezing in, pushed me to the left. And it was just being ignored, that the person was ignoring my presence. Remember, I was there first. The AI looked like it was ignoring my presence as well. and it placed itself in between me and this other person, this owner, basically pushing me out of the way to the side, to the left. And I was still at the counter, but I had moved aside as this AI scrolls its way in, and I look back at this AI robot and was thinking to myself, like, what's going on, right? Remember, I got to be at work at 3. I'm trying to grab some protein to be able to survive the day, to have some energy. All of a sudden, this person shows up with their AI. Say, with their AI. And I was thinking, as everyone who has been celebrating artificial intelligence and these AI robots and this new age technology, that they're always talking about how it's going to help you and it's going to yield to humans. It's going to protect humans. It's not going to harm humans, such as the driverless cars. I mean, come on, if you got something driving at 75 miles an hour, you want to know if it's not going to harm you or not, right? And they boasted about this. So I'm sitting here thinking like, hey, I need to figure out, what's going on. So I was going to test it. So the first test I gave it, I stepped back and I was giving this test, and I placed my hand on the left shoulder of the robot, and I just slightly, just kind of like, just a small little, to push it towards this owner just a little bit. And it doesn't even respond. It kind of just goes like this. It kind of goes, that's it, right? Still looking in the counter, just like the owner is. They're both looking. The AI's looking, and the person's looking. And it just kept itself in between me and the other person and pushing me out of the way of the marketplace. And all the time, this owner could care less. It just didn't see me push it, didn't see me step back, and just didn't care. And I was wondering, like, did the owner know? Is it pre-programmed to defend the owner? Is it trying to do the bidding of the owner? It was there for the owner only, and it wasn't there for any other human beings. So the second test, I then pushed it much harder, but not aggressive. This time I kind of just went on the shoulder, kind of pushing it. I went like that, right? And in hopes that it was going to think like, hey, you're pressing on me. Am I in your way? Let me step out of your way. That's what they're telling us, right? They're telling us that's what's going to happen. That these AIs are going to, oh, I'm sorry, you're human. Oh, forgive me. I don't know what I was doing. Let me step back a little bit, right? Didn't happen. And so then my test 3 is I reached out and grabbed this AI robot. Believe me, and by the way, the owner's still looking in the case, the display case, not even paying attention to anything that's going on. So I grabbed the AI robot's hand, and it was like a human-type hand, and I was going to try to connect with it emotionally. See, I'm testing all these theories, they said, right? And I touched his hand, and I'm like, like kind of connect compassionately. Does it have any kind of, emotions to be able to connect? Like, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm a human. Can you step back? Well, it didn't respond. It could care less. But it was dedicated to being there for that one human that owned the AI. This AI stuff, this artificial stuff they're talking about, it's personal AI, that it will be personalized for you. And this particular AI in this prophetic dream was there for her and her only. Then my final test, I believe it was my final test, I put my hands on the same shoulder, the left shoulder of the AI, because it's shaped like a human. And I take it, I just shove it. Man, I give it one of them Pat Hamilton shows. I just shove that thing, right? Oh, yeah, it's just a joke. So I shoved it really hard, and it just goes, it does this kind of thing, but then it go back up, and it kept looking in the display counter just like the owner was doing. All these creators that are telling us, according to what God is showing me and what we're obviously seeing, and now they're warning everybody. God knew this before they knew it. Now they're realizing they have no control over it, and they're talking about things of not controlling it. That then they said they could control it. Now they're saying, we're not sure whether we can control it or not. But God was saying in this particular dream that you can't control it. It's going to do what it's going to do, and it's not necessarily going to be there for every single human being. And no matter how much aggression, that you give it, it's still going to continue to do whatever it was told to do in the context of that, and all humans aren't included. But think about this. So it pushed me out of the marketplace. God is showing us that AI in people's AI will begin to push people. Is it saying it's going to push Christians out of the marketplace? I don't know. But it pushed me out of the marketplace. And it kept me from making a purchase, buying or selling. And it says in Revelation chapter 13, we'll talk more about it, but he says that the beast, the image, forces all to take the mark, and you cannot buy or sell without it. So, this intelligence, this image was keeping me from buying and selling. It just pushed me off the ability to be able to buy and sell. And it was basically doing the owner's bidding, I couldn't get any food. I couldn't get any protein. I needed to be at work. I think about Revelation 6:6 about needing protein. It's like, why? What's going on here? Well, this is what he says in the Word, Revelation 6:6. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil or the wine. So I'm looking for protein, and we are here now seeing these last days begin to unfold. And he says very specifically in Revelation 6:6 that the diet plan is going to be potentially for God's people, people that are not in the system. It's going to be a meatless existence. It's going to be barley, actually. So I'm thinking like barley. That sounds like a granola bar to me, right? And barley is a cereal that is commonly used for food and beverage products. So they put it in food and beverage products. It is a good source of dietary fiber, vitamins, minerals, including protein. Isn't that interesting? Including protein. I was having to find protein in a plant instead of a piece of meat. Like cow and other meat, fish and all, and chicken. I'm not going to name any more. And so the protein content of barley can vary depending on the variety of methods you're getting it from or growing it, but it averages about 12 to 15% protein. So we're looking at, that in the marketplace, that the only thing that I was having to lean in to get protein was actually from a vegetable type plant, right? Breads and had nuts in it, and I'm like, I got to be able to make it. I'm about to go to work, right? And I got to ask for the whole day, and he's saying it's going to take a whole day's pay. See, a whole day's pay. A whole day's pay to buy barley, right? To buy your meal for that day, it's going to take you have to work all day long for one meal. Well, that could never happen. I mean, people wouldn't. We're the land of flowing with milk and honey, right? We're the breadbasket of the world. Well, look here at the United Nations. The United Nations says we need to reduce our meat consumption to fight climate change and improve food security. So they're saying that you need to be insecure in your food so you can actually have food security. It's crazy. Some of the things the Lord has shown me where they're intentionally destroying the crops. The Lord showed me a nice, beautiful field that was filled with the harvest and is ready to be able to harvest at end. And he showed me some of these folks that are working in the context of the scheme to be able to control people by getting rid of the access to being able to have your own food, grow your own food. And I saw them take this black stuff in this can, and they sprayed it all over this field, like a field of corn, nice plush green stalks, yellow corn, beautiful field. And within minutes, if not seconds, the entire crop just shriveled up and it was laid down on the ground like it had been burnt up by the sun. And I'm thinking, you're destroying the food. And next thing you know, the person who did this is getting arrested. But who cares? You just killed all of our food supply, right? And it's like this political thing going on. These are demons. These are demons trying to do the devil's bidding, and they're using people. And why would anybody destroy someone's food supply so they can control them? Because whoever's feeding you will control you. I know that in law enforcement, we had canine dogs that would go out and have a handler, and they would go find drugs. They'd find bad guys, bad girls. And the way that they would get loyalty, the dog to the trainer, was they would lock the dog up and let the dog go through a time of isolation, no human contact. And then they would slide food in, but they couldn't see, the dog could not see who was sliding food into the dog. Then all of a sudden the owner would start showing up, the new handler would start showing up, giving the dog some food. And then all of a sudden he'd go in there, he or she would go in there with the dog. And next thing the dog changes its loyalty to who feeds them. Sad to say, that's a human characteristics. People, I think about when I'm going to the doctor and I'm hearing a lot of men that are with me going for their blood tests, and so they have to fast. They can't eat anything from midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning or 8 till they get their blood drawn from them. And these guys are like about to faint. They're going, oh my goodness, I'm about to fall out. I haven't eaten since midnight. I'm like, what the heck? So many people live like Esau, off their stomach, off their flesh, just making their flesh happy. If there's any time right now, we don't need to be like animals. We need to be able to be submitted to God no matter what's happening. And it even goes further that a man in Davos was speaking. He calls for 1 billion people to stop eating meat. Take a look at this.
It's a very important point that you are addressing. My daughter, 24, inspired me and said, Dad, how can you advocate for these zero carbon value chains if you still eat meat? And so I stopped eating meat. Now the math would say, well, you need to stop eating meat 11 years to compensate for a flight to Thailand. Yes, but if 1 billion people stop eating meat, I tell you it has a big impact. Not only does it have a big impact on the current food system, but it will also inspire innovation of food systems. And I predict that we will have proteins not coming from meat in the future. They will probably taste even better. So why are we trying to mimic meat if we can have a better taste? They will be zero carbon and much healthier than the kind of food that we eat today. That is a mission that we need to get on. I can inspire you to maybe look at an organization called EAT, easy to remember, EAT, who have all the facts on this and who have the policies necessary, the innovations necessary, and the scale necessary in order to make food systems sustainable and healthy.
So you're looking at that there is a strategy going on with these darkened minds, and we'll talk about Romans chapter 1 in a bit, and it's just futile what they're doing. They're coming up with this strange concepts about God's creation, that they don't believe in God, and they're wanting to be able to control it. And so they're wanting to do away with 1 billion people. That's like 1/6 of the world's population not eating beef. You start something like that, it's going to kill all the meat production in the world. Just COVID itself affected the meat production. They were killing pigs and chickens and animals, and it was terrible because of the slowing down the delivery aspect of meat. I had a ribeye. Donna fixed me a ribeye for lunch today. It was beautiful. It was just wonderful. Lord, make a way, right? So I'm in this dream, and I was pushed out of the marketplace. I couldn't get something to eat. I was trying to find proteins inside of some barley, and it was like I was on the 3rd floor, and during this dream I was on the 3rd floor, wondering if I had enough time to be able to get to work at 3 o'clock, because remember I had to be at work at 3 o'clock, and it was 2:59 p.m. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I work on the 4th level, the 4th floor. How am I going to get there during this time? Then they started coming up to me, they being in this dream, people started coming up to me, and they're offering me other places to work. I'm like, this is just chaos, right? I showed up to get some food. Looking in the encounter was with AI, robots. It created all this marketplace push, stir, and next thing you know, they're saying, we're going to change where you work. I just want to encourage you that, God knows what's going on. God's been seeing what's happening. this lack of food that was shown in the dream, this artificial intelligence intrusion that was taking place was causing all kinds of confusion. It sucked up all my time. The AI was running on behalf of the human that owned it, but no one else. It literally took me out of the marketplace and interrupted a business transaction, buying and selling. It sounds a lot like the beast economy. When you think about Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 and 17, it says, then the beast, the image, also forced all people great. Say forced. What happened to me? AI forced me out of the way, forced me from the counter, would not respond to me. And it says, and then it forced, the beast, the image, also forced all people, great, small, rich and poor, free and slave, so that's everybody, to receive a mark on their hands or on their forehead so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark. The question is, maybe that woman whose AI that was, she'd already bought into the beast economy and she had the mark. I didn't have the mark. And he said the mark is the name of the beast, which is the number of his name, which is 666. And this requires wisdom. You say, well, this is a dream. I'm like, no, it's happening. This is happening so fast. The way that we started off this whole series in part one was to help you just like focus long enough to realize you're in this. This is happening. This is not surreal. This is taking place as we speak. And I think about right now, AI, how AI prevented a business that we talked about in our previous message on AI, the AI dilemma in the church, was how Amazon, is the biggest user of artificial intelligence, hosting all of that situation. Well, an Amazon driver who was delivering products for Amazon, which they do all the time, was delivering it to a particular man's house who had all Amazon products like their Echo and their doorbell, the Ring doorbell. They had, all the security systems, the video, and all this kind of stuff. Well, all of a sudden, this man, after the delivery, that he realized, like, hey, none of my stuff's working. I'm locked up. It's like nothing is working right here. And so what happened was the employee of Amazon went back to Amazon, told them what this man said through his doorbell. He said he heard a racist statement coming through the doorbell. And so Amazon just cut off all their services. Take a look at this. They literally cut it off. So on Wednesday, this is just Wednesday, Amazon confirmed that it shut down a man's smart home after a delivery truck misheard, we heard that quite a bit, right? Misheard and wrongfully accused him of making a racist remark through his smart doorbell, the Daily Caller News reports. And so Amazon locked him out, the reports are, of his smart home device on May the 22nd. And so he had to call them up and say, what's going on? And he could prove the fact that he didn't make a racist statement. But the question is, who is Amazon to be investigating you, right? Who is Amazon to be investigating? It's the marketplace. And they determined through their investigation that these claims were false. And so they went ahead and released his house. And he was free again to be able to operate his house. Listen, it's here. It's happening right now. I encourage you, don't have your locks and all these different things on someone else's computing system. Folks, it's here. It's happening. We hear about ESG and artificial intelligence now working together. ESG, China has Sesame credit scores. I spoke about this prophetically in a Mount Carmel moment prophetic message in 2020. I believe it was November of 2020. And you can see it on your screen how to get to it. But it's a Mount Carmel moment where we were going to be just like China, where China has a Sesame credit score. So they give you a score on how well you're doing in society. And if you don't do well, they will lower your score, and your kid can't go to school, you can't get loans, you can't get a job. It's all done in the Sesame credit scores. Well, what do you know? America has the ESG score, and the ESG, and they have an AI working together. The Daily Signal, it answers the question as they're interviewing Vivek Ramaswamy, the CEO and founder of Strive Assets Management. He says, this is what ESG is, according to Vivek. ESG refers to the use of dollars, including your dollars, using your own retirement money, to advance environmental and social goals, in addition to what they call governance goals that are not implemented in the public, policymakers, through elections, through democracy. In other words, we voted people in to be able to make laws, but now through ESG, Coca-Cola is making laws. Through ESG, BlackRock is making laws. These companies are making laws. That is actually a go-around where the government's working together, public-private partnership, which was pre-planned and talked about prior to this administration coming in. And you can't legally, according to the law, the government can't go around our constitutional rights by working through a company. It was a law that was established with the train companies, where the government was asking people to start searching people to get on the train. The train people company said, we refuse to do that. It's going to run our business. They forced them, so you're going to have to do it. They took it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled, and maybe you might see it in your lower thirds now, the name of that law, but they ruled that the government cannot go around, us by working through business to be able to control us. Well, we're seeing some of those things happen right now. But rather than implementing the law through, passing laws, negotiating the laws, these different things that you do in the legislature, which is about making laws, now it's policy and laws are being determined by companies. Just like I was in the marketplace. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter. What mattered is what they want to take place. And so Ramaswamy's also the author of Woke Incorporated, and he left his billion-dollar company that he founded just to be able to help America understand that, hey, we need to be able to wake up. Now, the social governance part of the ESG, environmental, which is climate change, social, which is what that guy allegedly said through his doorbell, enabled Amazon to cut him off. You just can't do that unless we've left our legislature and our government, we turned it over to the corporations to be able to do it. But that would be a social score. People are getting fired because of something they posted on their social media. That's the S in the ESG. And then governance is where these big investors like BlackRock and others come in and they buy a controlling share of the company, and they replace all the board members, and the board members is what determines, I don't care how big the company is, it's the board members that determine what's going to happen in that company. So all of a sudden, you have ExxonMobil, who makes their money off of oil, now saying we're going to go for green energy, and we're going to have solar. What's going on? They changed the board, allegedly and reportedly. And so they're controlling things and trying to control the populations through ESG scores, just like Sesame Street. I hope that's not too heavy for you. But you put that together with AI, and now the doorbell tells on you that you said something through your doorbell that you shouldn't have said, and now you have a record of it. And so AI helps enforce those things. But actually, it freed the man because it proved he wasn't even home and that it was an automatic answering situation. But the question is, who is Amazon to be able to investigate anybody, right? So we're in these last days. These last days require patient endurance. They require our faithfulness to the Lord, which means, patient endurance is just hold on. If you get pushed out of the marketplace, if you're having to eat barley, it's probably a lot more healthier anyway than a steak. And just go work your way through this and stay faithful to God and seek wisdom. It requires wisdom for that to be able to take place. So when you're talking about ESG and you're talking about the artificial intelligence, you're looking at this massive change in business with artificial intelligence. Brett King, who is the author of Augmented, he writes that the future even of banking, the future of banking is not about better marketing or having one more app than someone else. It's about completely reimagining consumers' interaction with money. So you're looking at like, what? But when you surrender all your money and your dollars over to the digital dollar, they're working on the digital dollar right now. You know, with the artificial intelligence, you can control a digital economy. And they've even tested the whatever it's called, the digital currency. And so you're looking at these things taking place as we speak. I mean, it's just amazing. So soon, technology, he goes on to say, Brett goes on to say, soon technology like 3D printing will result in instant delivery of new products into your home, even faster than Amazon Prime drones. Think about that. So you're literally, by the way, drones are delivering your stuff prior to this, but now you're looking at it's printing stuff and things. It's amazing, right? So what does Elon Musk say about loosening all this AI over the world? Well, he says it's like summoning a demon and it needs to be regulated. Take a look.
We should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I were to guess at what our biggest existential threat is, it's probably that. So we need to be very careful with artificial intelligence. I'm increasingly inclined to think that there should be some regulatory oversight maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we don't do something very foolish. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
Isn't it profound how people who are not believers sometimes know better than the believers themselves? Because this is definitely can be used in a demonic way. So he's saying we need regulations. Elon Musk gathered the 50 governors together, and we broadcasted that on VFN TV for all to see, but the governors didn't listen, didn't regulate. So now he's saying we need to regulate. So now the current government called all the AI people, leaders in IBM, Uber, OpenAI, and others. By the way, if you use your weather app, that actually is AI. That is Watson, the computer Watson. So they have, like Uber's representative, for example, the driving service. He is there at a hearing in Congress, and this is the beginning of a journey where they're coming before the leaders of the world, and they're saying, listen, we need policies. We need to be regulated. But the question is, have you waited too long? Have you waited too late for this to take place? So Uber's CEO says to Congress about Sam Altman, the president and leader of OpenAI, he's done all this talking, but he has not yet told us what his worst fears are. So this is before the Congress of the United States, where Sam Altman is just recently saying, and being forced by Uber's leadership in front of Congress to say what your worst fears are. Take a look.
And last, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I will note that Sam's worst fear I do not think is employment, and he never told us what his worst fear actually is, and I think it's germane to find out.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Mr. Altman if he cares to respond.
Yeah. Look, we have tried to be very clear about the magnitude of the risks here. I think jobs and employment and what we're all going to do with our time really matters. I agree that when we get to very powerful systems, the landscape will change. I think I'm just more optimistic that we are incredibly creative and we find new things to do with better tools, and that will keep happening. My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think that could happen in a lot of different ways. It's why we started the company. It's a big part of why I'm here today and why we've been here in the past and we've been able to spend some time with you. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong, and we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening, but we try to be very clear-eyed about what the downside case is and the work that we have to do to mitigate that.
It can go wrong. It can go very wrong. The least of his worries, which was a great worry for all of us, is job loss. Now, I believe he has hundreds of millions of dollars. Sam Altman has so much money that he doesn't even take a paycheck from OpenAI, the company he runs. He just gets his insurance from it. He says, I got so much money coming in, I don't know how to give it away. Well, that's a man who has hundreds of millions of dollars. He's not worried about a job, but the world's worried about a job. In addition to not only job loss, significant job loss, which is a great fear of his, which he's seeing what's going on, but also the technology could go wrong. It could go quite wrong, he says. And so Senator Lindsey Graham, in the same hearing in the U.S. Congress, is trying to explore just how wrong can it go. And he's talking about the military application. I want you to follow this because Senator Graham is saying, people with technology and drones, as a human being, a soldier could say, hear from their commander, this is where I want you to send the drone. I want you to put this kind of weapon on the drone. And when you see this bad guy, I want you to be able to eliminate the bad guy, shoot him, blow him up, whatever. And so that's what Lindsey's talking about. And he follows with the question, can AI do this on its own? Take a look.
Military application. How can AI change the warfare? And you got 1 minute.
I got 1 minute?
Yeah.
All right. That's a tough question for 1 minute. This is very far out of my area of expertise, but
I'll give you one example, a drone. Can a drone, you can plug into a drone the coordinates and it can fly out and it goes over this target and it drops a missile on this car moving down the road and somebody's watching it. Could AI create a situation where a drone can select the target itself?
I think we shouldn't allow that.
Well, can it be done?
Sure.
Thanks.
Can it be done? Sure. Now, it's very important to understand what he's saying here. He's saying, outside of any human intervention, can this computer, this robot, with this artificial intelligence think, this particular person, these people, this country, this state, this political leader, whatever, it on its own determines, hey, this is a bad guy, and we need to eliminate him for the betterment of society. And then it actually gets its own coordinates. It goes out, facial recognition, easily, right? Finds the target. It loads itself up with whatever it's going to load itself with, and it eliminates, and it kills these particular people or person without any human intervention. Can it do that? And Sam Altman said before the whole world in the U.S. Congress, sure. I mean, you think, he's more than sure, but sure means absolutely it can do that. But their biggest concern is that AI is going to take over and possibly destroy humanity. But look, several years back, an 18-year-old took a 9mm himself and put it with a drone, and look what he was able to do years ago. Take a look.
Customer pilots directed almost 3,000 precision strikes last year. We're super proud of it. It allows you to separate the bad guys from the good. It's a big deal. But we have something much bigger. Your kids probably have one of these, right? Not quite. That skill is all AI. It's flying itself. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. The stochastic motion is an anti-sniper feature. Just like any mobile device these days, it has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shaped explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. They used to say guns don't kill people. People do. Well, people don't. They get emotional, disobey orders, aim high. Let's watch the weapons make the decisions. Now, trust me, these were all bad guys. Now that is an airstrike of surgical precision. It's one of a range of products. Trained as a team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. They cannot be stopped. Now, I said this was big. Why? Because we are thinking big. Watch. A $25 million order now buys this. Enough to kill half a city. The bad half. Nuclear is obsolete. Take out your entire enemy, virtually risk-free. Just characterize him, release the swarm, and rest easy. These are available today. We have a distribution network taking orders from military, law enforcement, and specialist clients.
The nation is still recovering from yesterday's incident, which officials are describing as some kind of automated attack, which killed 11 U.S. senators at the Capitol building.
They flew in from everywhere but attacked just one side of the aisle. It was chaos. People were screaming.
You can see high windows, very small, precisely punctured to gain entry to the building.
What did you do for the victim?
I just did what I could for him. Things weren't even interested in me. They're just buzzing.
Government sources admit the intelligence community has no idea who perpetrated the attack, nor whether it was a state, group, or even a single individual.
So if we can't defend ourselves, then we strike back.
We are investing very heavily in classified defense projects.
We make it our deterrent like our nuclear deterrent. We stockpile in the millions, the billions.
At key facilities, the White House, the New York Stock Exchange, Wall Street.
Safe in their homes.
Well, we wish we had boots on the ground in every community in this country, but we don't. So our instructions,
Ollie?
our suggestions are to stay in touch with
Ollie, hi. Hi, Ollie, honey. How's Edinburgh today? How are all your studies going, huh?
Good. Great.
Oh, great. Hey, aren't we doing a video call today?
I'm kind of with people, so.
Oh, well, come on, Oliver, put her on.
Oh no, it's not like that. No, wait.
Oh, well, listen, I see some photos here with somebody, and I can see lots of likes, and what's that all about? Oh, wait a minute, here, and on your
Mom, she's on the spy stuff in the military.
What? What is this video right here? Oh, no, I'm not going to click on that.
It's just this human rights thing about oppression or whatever.
Honey, you're not going into politics, are you? I mean, no protest march.
Safe here, just like you said it would be.
Heavy traffic approaching the A720 this morning due to police.
Police are not saying this morning what prompted the alert.
Claim relaxing firearm legislation would be useless against the so-called slaughter bots.
Is to stay away from crowds. When indoors, keep windows covered with shutters.
Protect your family. Stay inside.
Oliver, can you hear me? Listen to me.
Can you hear it?
Authorities are still struggling to make sense of an attack on university campuses worldwide, which targeted some students and not others. The search for a motive is apparently turning to social media, and a video shared by the victims exposing corruption at the height.
But it's far from surprising. The weapons took away the expense, danger, and risk of waging war. And now we can't afford to challenge anyone, really. It's not even the smallest fringe group or a crank.
Who could have done this?
Anyone.
Dumb weapons drop where you point them. Smart weapons consume data. When you can find your enemy using data, even by a hashtag, you can target an evil ideology right where it starts.
This short film is more than just speculation. It shows the results of integrating and miniaturizing technologies that we already have. I'm Stuart Russell, a professor of computer science at Berkeley. I've worked in AI for more than 35 years. Its potential to benefit humanity is enormous, even in defense. But allowing machines to choose to kill humans will be devastating to our security and freedom. Thousands of my fellow researchers agree. We have an opportunity to prevent the future you just saw, but the window to act is closing fast.
Was this artificial intelligence simulation created in 2017, the topic being discussed by Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Brett King, United States Senator Lindsey Graham, and other notable individuals in May through June 2023, when they expressed concerns about AI potentially being an existential threat capable of destroying humanity. The reason why AI robots need emotions is so they won't kill us all. Brett King.
So Elon Musk is being interviewed on CNBC, and the reporter's asking him, is there a chance that AI, artificial intelligence, can destroy humanity? Take a look.
You talk about enhancing humanity. I'm curious then about AI, which many people say will lead to great productivity gains. You showed those robots. I mean, I can imagine what they conceivably could do when powered by AI. But I'm also curious, because you've certainly been concerned, what percentage do you give the chance that it will destroy humanity?
Well, the advent of artificial general intelligence is called a singularity because it is so hard to predict what will happen after that. I think it's very much a double-edged sword. I think there's a strong probability that it will make life much better, and that we'll have an age of abundance. And there's some chance that it goes wrong and destroys humanity. Hopefully that chance is small, but it's not zero. And so I think we want to take whatever actions we can think of to minimize the probability that AI goes wrong.
And you've called for a pause, along with a number of other people.
Yes, look, when I called for a friend of mine, Max Tegmark, is a physicist at MIT, wanted me to sign on to the letter. And it's like I knew it would be futile.
It is futile.
It's futile. I knew it would be futile. I just wanted to call it like it's one of those things, well, for the record, I recommended that we pause.
Okay.
Did I think there would be a pause? Absolutely not.
But you're starting XAI, I think that's what you're calling it, or some new AI effort. How's it going to be different than OpenAI or Alphabet?
This is not the time to this. It's not. We don't have enough time, and nor is this the moment to really talk about it.
Okay.
We will have a launch event, and we'll explore the issues in more detail. But I should say that and I mentioned this at the shareholder meeting, that Tesla has actually tremendous capability in real-world AI.
Yes.
In fact, it is very far ahead of anyone.
I know people actually on Twitter prior to our interview were saying, he never gets asked about how advanced his AI is at Tesla. You always talk about the other names.
Tesla AI is, like I said, it's like I'm not even sure who's second, frankly.
Why is that? What are people not understanding about what you have, and why are we talking so much about ChatGPT and generative AI at OpenAI and what Microsoft's going to be able to do with it, and not about Tesla?
I don't know. I mean, people do talk about it online. I think Tesla will have sort of a ChatGPT moment. Maybe if not this year, I'd say no later than next year.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. You're going to have a
sort of ChatGPT moment.
Oh, you will. In terms of suddenly it will.
Yeah, suddenly 3 million cars will be able to drive themselves with no one.
Right. It goes back to that. Right.
Yeah, and then 5 million cars, and then 10 million cars.
So remember what he said. First of all, he said that singularity. Remember that word singularity. We're going to talk about what that means. The next thing he said was that Tesla is going to have a GPT moment, a GPT chat moment. And what GPT, remember, it had 100 people working on it, less than 100 people. And then they loosed it on 100 million people. And he said, we're going to have that moment ourselves. It's going to be this year or it's going to be next year. And our AI is so big and so powerful that I don't even know who comes in second. What does that mean? We're going to have 3 million cars that'll be automatically self-driving cars that will need no humans to be able to drive them. Then we'll have 5 million, then we'll have 10 million. I mean, folks, it's here. This is what's happening. I mean, it's really happening. You can imagine 3 million cars driving through your community and nobody's driving them. The computer, AI, artificial intelligence. And nobody's talking about Elon Musk's artificial intelligence. They're talking about, OpenAI and ChatGPT and these other ones, which they themselves are deeply concerned about, which means based on what they're all saying, that would mean that potentially Elon has massively more dangerous AI. Artificial intelligence. So you look at right now, this year, 2023, what is the top 3 humanoid robots? Let's just take a look at what they look like.
Top 3 advanced humanoid robots in 2023. Number 3, Ameca Engineered Arts. To engage with the public, Ameca uses integrated microphones, binocular eye-mounted cameras, a chest camera, and facial recognition software. GPT-3 or human telepresence can also control interactions. Number 2, Atlas, Boston Dynamics. Boston Dynamics created Atlas in 2013 with an emphasis on locomotion, first walking in the lab, then walking on all kinds of unstable terrain and pulling off some nasty parkour. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, of the United States provided funds for the business to launch Atlas. Number 1, Sophia, Hanson Robotics. The most sophisticated humanoid robot, Sophia, created by Hanson Robotics, made her debut in 2016 and enthralls audiences around. Sophia is the first robot citizen in the world and the first robot innovation ambassador for the United Nations Development Program.
Remember now, it's not limited to being in some humanoid-looking robot. It can be in a little box, a little black box. It could be, in a computer. It could be moved into a chip inside someone's head. I mean, this AI can be moved. This is what Elon Musk said. All the AI I have presently in Tesla and SpaceX can be moved inside of the Optimus robot. It can be moved anywhere, he said, virtually anywhere. So Sam Altman, the president of OpenAI, is in Israel. And listen to what he says. He says technology, his belief system is technology is the only way the world can get better. Our belief as acknowledgers of God, that there is a God and we're not him. Secondly, that he sent his son to die for us, and the only way to be in right relationship with him is through his son, Jesus Christ, and that we can know God and his universe through him, but his way, he says, is only through technology. Take a look.
Huge economic benefits, huge healthcare benefits, but the fact that AI can help us do scientific discovery that we currently aren't capable of, we're going to get to understand the mysteries of the universe, and more than that, I really believe that scientific and technical progress is the only sustainable way that lives get better, that the world gets better. And if we can go unlock a gigantic amount of new science, new technological progress, which I think we're already seeing the beginnings of, and people using these tools to be more efficient, But if you imagine a world where you could say, AI help you cure all disease, and it helps you cure all disease, like, this could be a dramatically better world. And I think we're not so far away from that.
Scripture says, I am God who heals all your diseases. What is Sam Altman saying? He's saying AI could heal all your diseases. Which one's God? And then he says, it's going to unlock the mysteries of the universe. Well, Sam, I got news for you. Genesis chapter 1, the very first book, chapter, and verse in the Bible, the written, inspired word of God says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's the mystery. The mystery is God created it, and he created us in his image and his likeness. You think about it. God created the heavens. Take a look at this. God created, this is what Genesis 1 says. He created the heavens, the earth, the light, the day, the water, the land, the sky, the sea, all the creatures in the sea, the animals, the vegetations, the plant-bearing seeds and fruit, and the sun for the greater light, for the day, the moon for the lesser light of the night, the stars to help us to be able to have light in the night. And humans, he created humans, man, in his own image and his own likeness. I mean, think about it. That's the mystery. You think about Hebrews chapter 11 verse 2. He says, by faith, the scripture says, by faith, we understand that the universe, Sam, that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what is visible. So God, in his mind, decided to create the universe, to create the planets, to create the stars. I mean, think about even the stars in Psalms 147:4. It says, God determined the number of the stars, and he calls each of the stars by name. So he has a name for them. So Sam, it's God. I mean, you got to make a decision. It's like, are you God? Is technology God? You're willing to forego all of your brain power, and you said on your speaking circuit that, you know, you thought your intelligence was so amazing and so wonderful until you found out there's something outside of that. But that something outside of that is God, Sam. It's God, brother. It's God. It's not computers. You're willing to surrender your soul or surrender your life, because you might not believe you have a soul. Surrender your whole self over to a language-based artificial intelligence and see where it goes, instead of surrendering your life over to Jesus, who loves you, who's got a plan for your life, which is even better than you can artificially imagine for yourself. So all of a sudden, this founder of AI, this founder of OpenAI, and he's making this mad dash, like Elon said, it's like loosing a demon. It's like someone's in a demon. And so he's running out to all these world leaders, trying to make a mad dash to be able to let them know, you better regulate, because each nation has its own leaders and their own government and their own laws and their own people they have to protect. So within 1 week, just 1 week, Sam Altman went to Toronto. He went to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, talking to the leaders. He went to Lagos, Africa, talking to the leaders, or they gathered with them, with the leaders. Lisbon, Portugal. Madrid, Spain. Warsaw, Poland. Paris. London. Munich. He did this all in 1 week. Just 1 week. What did you do during that week? I went to Starbucks. I got me a flappa choppa lapa. Whatever, got to wake up. This thing is happening before our eyes. This man's running to these countries. And you think about it, he even went to the CEO of Microsoft. Think about all the Microsoft computers, you know, Bill Gates' company that he sold, and now they have whatever, and now it's being ran by somebody totally different. All your computer systems, Microsoft 365, Teams, all these game systems. They own just all this different stuff that's going on. And then he went to go see Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. And then he went to go see Ursula, the leader of the United Nations, European Union, not United Nations, European Union. Then he went to the United Kingdom. Then he went to go see the leaders of Poland. Even the Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, he spent time to be able to talk with him and to be there with him. And he even went to the United Arab Emirates and met with the leaders of the United Arab Emirates. He met with the President Yoon of South Korea, India's Prime Minister Modi. I'm telling you, wake up. This thing's happening so quick. They're pushing this paradigm. I really believe they're pushing it, trying to get something launched out before 2024 for some strange reason. But you look, even Sam Altman, before the brilliant people of India, these are brilliant people in India, just highly intelligent people, and they're talking to him, asking questions. That's what happened in these different countries. They're asking questions. What do you think? It's very interesting questions people are asking. And so they asked a question. They said, listen, talking about the people of India, hey, if our people, we don't have $100 million, but maybe if we had $10 million, can we compete against OpenAI? And his response, Sam Altman's response to the country of India was, it's totally hopeless for India's company to try and compete with OpenAI. Take a look.
Sam, can you, just going to startups, I mean, as you know, we've got a very vibrant startup ecosystem in India. Specifically focused on AI, are there spaces where you see, let's say, a startup from India building, you can build on the models, be it ChatGPT and many others. But if you want to build foundational models, how should we think about that? Where is it that a team from India, 3 super smart engineers with, not 100 million, but let's say 10 million, could actually build something truly substantial?
Look, the way this works is we're going to tell you it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models. You shouldn't try, and it's your job to try anyway. And I believe both of those things. I think it is pretty hopeless, but
I think it's pretty hopeless. Either that's massive arrogance, right? Either it's massive arrogance, or he's being honest. This Freudian slip of the reality is, and if you heard all of his talks, he has great confidence in this massive learning curve that is moving from a 5-year-old to an 8-year-old's intelligence to 10 to 12 to 20. It was already a 20-year-old person, and it's exponentially growing, and he sees no end in sight. So Elon Musk, remember we talked about where he's talking about, should I even work? Remember we talked about in the last particular session, and he paused for the longest time I've ever seen Elon pause, and he goes, I always ask myself that. I have to suspend my belief to be able to continue on, because the question I got to ask myself is, could all this AI be building what I'm building? What's he building? I don't know, driverless cars, rockets that go potentially to Mars, and Neuralink, and the chip in someone's head, the satellites in the air, Starlink. And it's like, understand, he has a greater AI capabilities with this company, and he doesn't even know who comes in second. Now, the one who comes in second may be Sam Altman at OpenAI, and he's going, India, don't even compete with us. It's useless. I think it's hopeless. We're in a whole new realm. Things are being loosed on the face of the earth. I believe we're in the last days. I believe that things are wrapping up quickly. You're seeing how the fulfillment, how in the world could they regulate a world economy if you can't buy or sell? We're beginning to see all those things take place. So I want to close with this. Romans, and we'll pick back up in the same area in our next session. But Romans chapter 1, verse 23, it says, and God's speaking through his word, the unction of his spirit. Paul's writing this to Rome, and he says, talking about what people did, he says, they exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images. I don't care what you imagine, Sam, right? He's imagining a world. He's imagining all the cure of all diseases. He's imagining an image outside of God, right? And not just him, just in general. They exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings. So you're seeing people going like, man, this is almost just like being there. This is like, man, this is like, you can look into this computer, you can look into these glasses, you can look into your phone, you can look into your mobile devices. I mean, it's almost like being there. And it's like, why not just be there? Why not just go there? Why not just do that? Several reasons. One is they're distracting you and making it at your beck and call, where all you got to do is go there in your brain, go there in your imagination, vain imaginations, right? Going there with virtually just like, why eat meat anyway? The fake stuff's going to be better tasting than the meat. It's going to be an AI situation we'll talk more about that with Brett King in our next session, but they're going to make your brain think you're having that experience. But God's going to hold us accountable if we leave his creation. He says God can be, the invisible qualities of God, Romans chapter 1:20, can be observed by what he's created. You can look at the things that God's created, not what man's created, what God's created. What God's created, and it's like, it shouts, there is a God, and that you're not him, and that he's the one that's done this outside of you. He's been here before you, and he'll be here after you. I mean, he is God. And then he says, because of this, every man is without excuse. Every man is without excuse. So it doesn't matter if you might be trying to fool yourself or trying to like make it gray and hazy. All you got to do is quit looking at your computer screen, your watch, your mobile device. Go outside and look at the trees. And go, oh my goodness, that's Genesis chapter 1. Go fishing and go, wow, look at the creatures of the sea. Look at the stars. It's like, man, God knows the name of that one star. And then look at all the people. It's like, my goodness, how can we all look so much alike? God created us in his image and his likeness. But he's going to hold us accountable. Our sin nature, the thing that makes us want to do wrong is our flesh. It's like whatever makes it easy for us. How much more money can I get? PMS, power, money, sex. We're going to be talking about in our next session about specifically where people are already having fleshly sexual relationships with technology. And it's been in imaginations for years, but now it's coming to some virtual, almost like type situation. It's like power, money, sex. It's this whole tour that Sam is doing around the world leaders. One of the most common things we're hearing is that you can make a lot of money. He says young people are jumping ahead of the older people, and they're doing 5 times the work as someone else. And they create this whole, fear of missing out, FOMO, right? And so all of a sudden people say, we got to take it. If we don't take it, if we don't just buy into, and I'm not saying that technology is wrong. I'm not saying that, artificial intelligence is wrong. I'm saying if you make it your God, it's wrong. If you make your computer, your watch, if you let it determine what you're going to do. If you're Googling, which is AI, by the way, your scriptures, if every time you got to think about what's God say about, you got to Google it to be able to find it, you're turning to AI to be able to tell you about God. I mean, it's kind of nice to be able to have a search engine, but you got to have a thing called a book, a Bible. It's got words in it. You can actually write things on papers, and you can have that personal relationship with God and abide with him. Now more than ever, you got to be able to have a personal time with the Lord. First of all, if you're hearing this and you're realizing, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how far it was. My head was buried in the sand. I've been watching movies and entertainment and streaming videos and Instagramming and whatever when the whole world was changing all the way around me. Man, it sure sounds like Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, don't it? We've got to keep them entertained while we shift everything and it's happening. If that's you, you're thinking, oh my goodness, I got to stop. I got to turn to God. I can't give my heart over. I mean, even Sam Altman, a brilliant intellectual man, is saying, I thought basically intelligence was the thing. And he's realizing, what was I thinking? I'm just going to turn myself over and see what this artificial intelligence, neurological language model, long language model, what it comes up with. Maybe it's going to come up with things better than I could ever come up with, and it begins to follow it. Corinthians, Paul writes about it. He says that God's gospel, his message being preached, is foolishness to those who don't believe. And those that think they're so brilliant and smart, it's dumbfounding. They can't understand. How come I don't have to use my intelligence to be able to find God? How we find God is with our knees. We just humble ourselves. We say, Lord, you're God, I'm not God. I give myself to you. God made a way to him, and it's not through artificial intelligence. It's through Jesus. For God so loved the world, his creation, humanity, his fallen humanity. We've all sinned. We've all fallen short. We are not in unless God makes a way. He made a way. For God so loved the world that he gave his son Jesus as a sin sacrifice to pay the price for all of our sins fully. That if we receive Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior for the full price that he paid, that he was born of a virgin, that he lived a sinless life, that he died on the cross and paid the price for the sins of man because there had to be a sin sacrifice. And 3 days later, he was raised from the dead by the same Father that created us all. If you put your faith in Jesus, he's here for you. He's here. This thing is wrapping up quickly. No man knows the day or the hour, but let me tell you something. We know the signs and we know the seasons. These are signs. These are the seasons. It looks like the days of Noah, and it looks like these things are coming to pass quickly. People are going to be so swept up in it, but not you, because you've heard the message. You've heard the truth. God's touching your heart right now. He's quickening you. Things are waking up in your heart, and you're going, I see, I understand. All you have to do is right now just say, Jesus, I want you to be the Lord of my life. I want you, Jesus. I see that you're God. I'm not God. If that's you right now, you want to accept Jesus Christ and make him the Lord of your life, pray with me right now. Pray with me. Say, Jesus. Talk out loud to him. Say, Jesus, I want you to be the Lord of my life. Jesus, I know and believe that you are the Son of God. I believe that the Father God sent you to earth, that you were born of a virgin, that you lived a sinless life, and that you paid the price for my sin on the cross. And you died on the cross. And 3 days later, Father God raised you from the dead. And because you're alive, I can be alive. Jesus, I give my heart to you. I give my life to you. Lead me, Lord God. Deliver me from this dark world, God. I have sinned. I have fallen short. Wash me, Jesus. Forgive me, Jesus. I'm all yours. Hallelujah. Welcome to the family of God. That's it. Now you got to lean in. You got to get to know him. We got some great information. First, I want to say, welcome to the family. Get in touch with somebody. Get in touch with us. And let somebody know that you've accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. You can see it on your screen, but also those that are listening, you can go to greglancaster.org/know God. KNOW, know God. We have some great information there for you. And I just want to welcome you to the family of God.